In the history of comics, we have only a handful of seminal titles that redefined the genre and legitimized the titles under which they were printed. This is one of those tales. Greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm Erod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Believe it or not, in the beginning of its run, Teen Titans used to be one of DC's least popular titles, as most readers saw it as nothing more than a cheap ploy from DC Comics to appeal to teenage readers, something Marvel was achieving easily with titles like Spider-Man and X-Men. Teen Titans didn't actually reach the notoriety that it has today until Marv Wolfman and George Perez revamped the book in the 80s, making a lot of significant changes to the series, including adding crucial members to the team such as Cyborg, Starfire, Raven, and Beast Boy. The duo crafted some of the most significant stories the title has ever seen, including The Terror of Trigon, which was adapted for the animated series as well as one of the DC animated features. And of course, today's subject, the Judas Contract, which also received the same two adaptations. In fact, the Judas Contract is such a seminal tale that the DC animated team initially intended for it to be the third feature produced, right after Superman Doomsday and Justice League New Frontier. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers commissioned they produce Batman Gotham Knight instead, in order to promote Batman Begins, so the Judas Contract got pushed down their release slate again and again until now. As per usual, be warned, there might be spoilers ahead, so watch at your own risk. And if any of you are wondering, yes, I am very annoyed that my least favorite feature series in the DC animated universe has received the greatest number of continuations. But honestly, complaining about this has gotten exhausting, so I'll spare you the meaningless fanboy gripes. Now, let's begin.
The plot.
As former Teen Titans, Nightwing and Starfire train the new generation to take their place, Brother Blood has hired the deadliest mercenary in the DC universe, Deathstroke, to dismantle, capture, and bring him the Teen Titans at all costs. Taking personal interest in the job, Deathstroke employs the most sinister methods to complete the task, including brainwashing one of the Titans to spy on the team and eventually betray them. As in the end, all that matters to Deathstroke is that he fulfills his contract.
Once I get out, I'm gonna break you into little bits.
It's good to have goals, essay. Me? I'm having waffles after you're dead.
Once again, I want to give major props to writer Ernie Albacker, who did a fantastic job adapting this intricate comic book storyline into an animated feature. He also wrote Justice League Dark, so yeah, he is quickly becoming my favorite DCAU writer.
Cast and characters.
First things first, Kevin Smith has a cameo in this. That in itself is freaking awesome. But I digress. One of my major issues with Justice League vs. Teen Titans was that the characters were terribly underdeveloped, so it was hard to get emotionally invested in the story. So I want to give the creators some major props for improving upon that, and actually giving the Titans some depth in this feature to help me relate and understand them better. Yes, even Damien the douche. Plus, he does get his just desserts, so I'm pretty happy.
What have you done to Robin?
I beat the crap out of him for being mouthy. Come on, you've all had the urge.
However, the quality of the performances in this one was a little uneven. Thaisa Farmiga, for example, came off very flat as Raven.
Guess we know who's taking out the garbage at the new place.
Christina Ricci as Tara shifted back and forth between sounding like she was just reading her lines.
I'm okay, so get going. You heard me. Get going.
To delivering amazing, beautifully dramatic performances.
No one has ever done anything like this for me. Thanks.
I really wish she would have been consistent all the way through. Brandon Suhu's Beast Boy was just intolerable through most of the feature, but whenever he was required to deliver a dramatic performance, he always knocked it out of the park.
I think pain is what makes a hero. It's like a pressure that either forms a diamond or grinds you into dust.
Sean Marr as Nightwing and Kari Wahlgren as Starfire did an excellent job leading this cast. Not only did they play these iconic characters incredibly well, but their chemistry was perfect and their scenes were always entertaining.
You did very well. You lasted far longer this time. I meant in training, of course. He's very proficient when we have—
Corey!
The villains were also excellent. Greg Henry nailed Brother Blood's devout perverse delusion. The guy doesn't think he's God, he knows he is. But the one that truly steals the show and brings this feature to the next level is the late great Miguel Ferrer as Deathstroke. Most of you may know Miguel better as Shan Yu on Mulan or as the shady vice president in Iron Man 3. But my two favorite Miguel Ferrer roles will always be Bob Morton on RoboCop.
You're gonna be a bad motherfucker.
And Harbinger on Hot Shots Part 2.
War. It's fantastic.
Sadly, Miguel Ferrer passed away in 2017 after a long battle with throat cancer, which makes Deathstroke one of the last performances that he was working on before his death, and in my humble opinion, one of his very best. Now please keep in mind that initially Deathstroke aka Slade Wilson was played by Ron Perlman, who's not just one of my all-time favorite actors, but he is also considered by many to be the definitive Deathstroke.
Whoa.
Whoa, that's it? No clever comment? I was looking forward to that.
So please understand the gravity of my words when I say that Miguel Ferrer was just as good, if not at times better. Not only did he have that overly confident, cocky demeanor of Perlman's version, but the guy was such an overwhelmingly pretentious asshole, it was hilarious.
Aikido needs work.
Favorite scene.
As per usual, the DC animated team did a fantastic job of crafting the sequences in this movie. With that said, I do have to question the cold opening of this feature, as it is there mostly for fan service than story purposes. The sequence sees the previous Teen Titans team on the day that Robin met Starfire. While I agree that the sequence is great and that it is important to establish these two characters' relationship, it still serves no purpose to the main story. For this reason, I feel that this opening should have consisted of this particular group of Titans having an encounter with Deathstroke. That way, you could still establish the Robin-Starfire relationship, all the while servicing the main plot, and further establishing the long history Deathstroke has had with the Titans, and how his intimate knowledge of the team makes him the perfect candidate for Brother Blood to hire to take down the Titans.
Word to the wise, Blood. Whatever you're gonna do to him, do it quickly.
Also, during the montage in which they show how Deathstroke captured each of the Titans, they completely omit the scene in which Tara defeats Raven. They just show the aftermath of the battle. Now, I'm sure there was a practical reason why they cut this out, but personally, I'm glad they did, because the version of this fight from the animated series is one of the absolute greatest scenes in the entire show, and there is very little that the creators of this feature could have done to top that scene.
Come on, Raven. What stings the most? That I tricked you? That I nearly wiped out your team? That everyone liked me better than you? Stop it! Or is it that deep down inside you really believed I was your friend?
Other than that, the feature flows beautifully with the quality we've come to expect from this legendary animation team. But my favorite scene has to be the fight between Deathstroke and Nightwing. First of all, Deathstroke attacks Nightwing in his apartment while in his civilian guise, so that in itself is incredibly shocking. But the fact that Nightwing is so terribly outmatched heightens the dramatic tension tenfold. You honestly don't think that Nightwing will survive this.
You're overrated, kid. Damn it.
Favorite line.
Very much like Justice League Dark, Ernie Albacker did an excellent job of crafting memorable, witty dialogue for our characters.
Every one of the teams had it rough.
Yeah, I can tell Princess Sparklethong knows all about eating from a dumpster.
But my favorite line comes from Deathstroke, as he is trying to write a text on behalf of Damian, so the other Titans won't be alerted to the fact that he's been captured.
I should reply. I am well and will see you soon. You're more of a dick.
Yes, he is.
Final verdict.
First of all, major props to director Sam Liu, who continues to do an exceptional job directing these features. And of course, I can't close this out without making comparisons to Teen Titans Season 2, which also adapted the Judas contract. I don't believe that either of these were perfect adaptations of the legendary comic book story, but the elements that they each got right were undisputably well done. The feature nailed the viciousness of Deathstroke's vendetta. Even though he claims he's only fulfilling his contract for money, it is very apparent that this is personal, and deep down, he wants to get even with the young heroes who have bested him so many times. The TV series, on the other hand, did a better job of establishing Tara as part of the team, so her betrayal is far more shocking. In this feature, not only are we abruptly introduced to her in the first scene, but for the rest of the feature she is horrifically moody, angry, and antisocial. So when the betrayal does happen, there's absolutely nothing shocking about it. So even though I'm not a fan of Justice League vs Teen Titans, I really wish they would have introduced Tara as part of the team on that feature, so her long history with the team would have been established early, and the dramatic impact of her betrayal would have been more substantial. Because, sadly, as well made as this feature is, this is just too crucial a part of the story to ignore. So I regret to say that for this reason, I cannot give this feature full marks. So it gets a 9. So yeah, close, but no cigar. But again, I cannot emphasize enough how well made and impressive this feature is, and how I enjoyed it in spite of the fact that it focused on the new 52 versions of the DC characters that I honestly don't care about. In the end, they teased that there might be yet another continuation to this series, with yet another Teen Titans feature that will include Wonder Girl and Jericho. And after seeing Teen Titans The Judas Contract, I have to admit that I'm actually interested to see that. So I wish the creators luck, and I hope to give the next feature 10 points on the Badassitude meter. So yes, if you're a fan of the Marv Wolfman George Perez run of the Teen Titans comic, or Glenn Murakami's animated series, this animated feature is definitely for you, as it pays tribute to both the comic and the animated show beautifully. And if you didn't catch it the first time, I'll say it again. The DC animated movie Teen Titans have officially earned my blessing.